Okay guys, I'm just going to open this for the... Okay, so I haven't opened this yet. It's just arrived. You can obviously tell what make this most likely is. So here we go. Let's have a look. Oh, look at that. Wow. All right, let me get this out and I'll see you in a minute. Hi guys, James here, and yeah, this is my newest guitar. I'm absolutely in love. I got this about an hour ago, and I'd only plugged it in to tune it. It's the first time I've really played it. I want to take you through what it is, what the specs are, what the setup here is that's making me smile quite so much. Yeah, and I hope you enjoy that. So we have the Fender Custom Shop Broadcaster. This is the 70th anniversary broadcaster in the Journeyman Relic. So let's start right from the top. Why have I bought this guitar? Well, about 4 or 5 months ago, I went to a vintage guitar shop in Cheltenham, which is in the west of England, called ATB Guitars. And when I was there, I bought Red. Red is my 1966-67 ES 355. And there was another guitar that day, and that guitar was a 1955 white guard Telecaster in this sort of butterscotchy colour. It was beautiful, beautifully played in, sounded incredible. But if I had bought that, then I wouldn't have my 2 Rock amps, I wouldn't have several of the other guitars around me. It cost quite a lot of money, and I couldn't justify that in comparison to having a lot of variety to play with, record with, show you guys, use on YouTube, use outside of YouTube. I love to have variety and options. So I didn't buy it that day, but you know, massive first world problems here, but it really haunted me after that. I absolutely loved it. If you want to see that guitar and my reaction to it, it's in a video I did at ATB Guitars. You can look back, you know, several months. Maybe if I remember, I'll try and link it here. So it's taken me a while to decide what to do. Honestly, I looked into finance and all sorts of things, and I called the shop back about 3 weeks after I was there, and they had just sold it. And I'd sort of put together a chance to buy it. Anyway, you have to move on. You know, if I waited long enough, another one would come up, and it would, you know, I could have looked at blackguards as well, which tend to cost £5,000 or £6,000 more. So you're looking at nearly 30 grand for a Blackguard, a good condition. When I say good condition, I mean interesting looking Blackguard Telecaster. But what does all this mean? Blackguard, White Guard, etc. Well, just the very briefest of histories. Back in the late 40s, Fender were really just making amps, and they were making, I believe, lap steel type guitars. But their marketing department, which I think was all down to one man, maybe two, the whole company probably at that point, was decided that they should have a Spanish style guitar, which is a normal-ish style guitar. So they'd had prototypes flying around, I believe, which they used to test electronics and amplifiers. And the first thing that came out was this. This is a 1950 reissue Broadcaster. Now, they made in the low hundreds of these, I believe. And they were a short-lived model because Gretsch made a drum kit called the Broadcaster at the time. So Fender, I think, just didn't want to fight about it. This was a new thing for them. They probably didn't want to spend money on fighting for that, and they weren't wedded to the name. But Broadcaster, because, you know, it was the sort of heyday of radio and broadcasting and the beginning of television and all that sort of stuff. Then it famously became the Nocaster. I don't think it was labelled Nocaster. I think people called it that afterwards. And then eventually by 51, I think it was Telecaster. Probably from television, I imagine, but who knows. Having said that, this guitar is this colour because of television. Let's flick to black and white just for a few seconds. Supposedly this colour, this yellowish colour, along with its Gibson counterpart, which was the TV yellow, were there because they showed up best on black and white televisions of the time. So let's see if that's true. We'll come back to colour now. So I saw this guitar, and it's taken me a long time to decide that I'll be happy enough with a custom shop reissue. I know that sounds silly, of course I'd be happy with it. But compared to that guitar that blew me away that day, that I could sell everything else. Well, not everything. You know, I could sell what I needed to from here, even though I love all this stuff, and just have that as my #1 main guitar. Well, I decided that I was not going to do that for now. I was going to get this, and I'm so happy. I've had this an hour. I'm just feeling it and holding it and looking at it. I'm so glad I went for the Journeyman Relic. I have difficulty with any Relic guitars that really take off a massive amount of paint. You know how they do it? I mean, I've been in the shop and seen the Rory Gallagher one, I think, and it's rubbish in many respects. I'm sure the guitar plays well, but I just couldn't even pick it up because there was no paint, and then there's little bits that look like decals, you know? And if you got one of those, I'm sorry, I'm sure it plays amazingly and sounds amazing, and I love Rory Gallagher. But I'm not against Relic in general. I do like the played-in feeling that a Relic has, the feeling that I can lean it up against a sofa, and if it makes one more ding, then what does it matter? I'll show you some areas here which I think are fantastic, that I think has been done sensitively and cleverly, and probably there's just one place where it's come off here and gone down to white, whereas it's gone down to black everywhere else. I'm not sure about that. I like the worn-in pick guard. I think that's fantastic. I like the rusted screws. They're not even the crosshead screws. They're flathead screws. I love all of it. I will do a comparison video against my 52 reissue and tell you all the differences. But ultimately, this already feels nicer. Let me give you some of the specs. So the neck is 51 no-caster neck, I believe. 50 to 51 no-caster neck. And it's a compound radius from 7 3/4 to 9.5, so more vintage style to more modern style, flattens out a bit, easier to play up at the top end. I don't think it's as fat as my 52 reissue, it doesn't feel it. It's also not satin like that. This has got a nitro finish on the neck with a little bit of worn off stuff. It's got a nice skunk stripe here. It's most important aspect of this guitar is the electronics and the wiring. These are new pickups, I think, for this model. Blackguard, 5051 Blackguard pickups, I think they call them. And they're saying it's the closest they've ever got to reproducing those original pickups that make the Blackguard Telecaster so sought after. So by the time you got to the White Guard, people think they're not quite as good as the Blackguard. So that's the transition there in the mid-50s. More interesting than any of this is the way it's all wired together. So let's get into that first. Let's play a few tones. I'll turn off the pedals just for a second and then I'll turn them back on because I think it got to a really nice tone there. So let's start in the traditional neck position. I'm going to keep that delay on because it sounds so good. That's the Strymon Volante. Just like to double check my microphone hasn't fallen into the amp. It happens sometimes. Okay, so that's your neck position, but it's not the normal neck position. First thing you'll notice is the tone knob doesn't do anything. And second thing you'll notice is that it sounds slightly rolled off. So the original broadcaster had a bigger capacitor in the wiring, and that rolled off basically all the treble, and that's because they wanted to recreate basically a bass. There wasn't really an electric bass yet. So in the rhythm department, the guy with this guitar could also do some of... I don't know what I'm doing. But yeah, that's why. So what they've done though is they've put in not such a big capacitor, so it's only rolling off a little bit. And then they give you, I'm not even going to open the packaging yet, they give you a whole other harness here with a different size capacitor that gives you, I believe it gives you the full fat rolled off tone. So it's like you've rolled off the tone completely, whereas this is like you've just rolled it off a touch. Absolutely gorgeous tone. Then in the middle position is not the standard middle position. It is actually the neck pickup without that capacitor, so it's as if it's at normal tone. What they've done is they've used Alnico 5 magnets in this pickup, which are a bit brighter than the Alnico 3s that are in the bridge, and they've given it an output so that it's not less output than the bridge. Often in a telly the neck is less powerful, and that allows them to roll off the treble in this neck position, but keep some brightness. And then as you'll hear, that's quite bright for a neck pickup. And nothing happens when I roll off the tone control, which in this guitar is not a tone control, it's a blend control, and I'll explain that now. So now we're in this bridge. So that is full bridge position, and when you completely roll it off, that is actually equivalent to the two together blended. But it's quite bright. This Alnico 5 pickup here is pretty bright. And you can go in the middle, you can sort of... And then back to full bridge. But for me, I'm already convinced that I'm going to much prefer playing this to my other telly, and that's a shame. I love that guitar. It looks fantastic. I've always been convinced that I got a slightly dud bridge pickup in that guitar. It's so weedy. And in this one, it's not weedy at all. Let's get those pedals back on. So I had the heavy hand side of the Dualist. I'll show you the settings. I've got my Austin Pride fuzz and my Cali 76 compressor with the Strymon Volante. And let's go through those again. So this is the neck, but in its slightly rolled off form. And then to the full bridge. And in the middle, where we've got the normal neck pickup, I love it. It's finally the Telecaster that I've been looking for. I love the played-in-ness of it. I'm really enjoying this neck. I'm actually playing mostly up here, and it looks to me like the radius starts to change about here, maybe. Gets much flatter by about here. If we just go into E. Whereas if I play here in A, yeah, so it does feel a bit different here, and it starts to gradually get flatter and flatter. I really like that. It's well thought out. It's really well done. It just feels so much more comfortable than the 52 reissue. It's a much nicer neck for me. It's less of a baseball bat, bit more shape to it. What else do I want to say about this guitar? Apart from I can't wait to just play it more and more and more. It's going right up there with my other couple of favourite guitars, my Black ES355 and my Les Paul. It's got a real singing sound. Absolutely sings. I'm just going to change the gain structure here. It was on the highest output, so that's the Schofield sort of setting. I'll put it up to the normal 2-rock setting. Back down to the blackface setting, which has a lower output. And back to the middle. Not trying to do anything musical there, but I just wanted to show you and feel for myself as well just how playable it is. I feel comfortable up here. It's such a flat profile. Absolutely fantastic. As first impressions go, this might have better first impressions to me than any of my other guitars have, because I didn't expect it to be this awesome, for want of a better word. The output of the pickups is perfect. They sing while still sounding vintage. Let's turn the fuzz pedal off for a second, just to lower that a little bit. Put it in the middle. And then without the heavy hand, but with the compressor still on. Quite bright without compressing it more with the drive pedal. So if we roll that back about halfway. Tell you what, amongst my many goals for 2021, I want to learn some of that chicken picking stuff that Greg Koch and was it Koch? Greg Koch? Not sure. And some of these other great players do with the telly, and it's all feels very close in here, and it's sort of chicken picking. I've got none of that in my repertoire yet, and also hybrid picking. And this guitar feels like it's the perfect thing to do that with. I don't want to disappoint anyone, but I might have found another number one, my home base. Who knows? I'm not sure it can overtake my black ES355. Possibly not. But in terms of my Fender side, this is probably the one for me. So anyway, I just wanted to show that off. Case candy wise, it comes with a nice thin vintage style strap. As I said, it came with that wiring harness. This is a really nice case, similar to my other telly one from the reissue. I think it's a different colour. I've left the leather book with the rider in it, but I'll give you a close-up. And then I quite like these ashtray things. I think it just sits on there. Yeah. I've never played with it on before. Makes some sort of difference. I wouldn't play it with that on. It feels very uncomfortable. But I wonder if people use them as ashtrays on top of their amplifiers. I don't really smoke, so who knows. And there you go. Just wanted to show that off. I'm really, really happy. And there's one more unveil this year, and that's my surprise amplifier that I bought that I've mentioned a few times. And next year there's going to be far fewer purchases because I've really gone for it this year. Next year is all about improving my skills, recording more music, probably more pedals, but there really aren't going to be that many guitar and amp purchases. But we can talk about that in another video. Before the end of the year, I'm hoping to do one of those collection videos that people do. You know, like camera YouTubers do what's in my bag, and watch people do like showing off the whole collection. I'll probably do one where I just show off all the guitars and all the amps just for fun. Maybe once we get into the new studio, which is supposed to happen a couple of weeks or a week before Christmas maybe. And having said that, last thing I want to say is I might miss out a couple of videos on my normal schedule, which would be Thursday and Sunday, because as I move into that room, it might take me a little while to get comfortable and set up. But even if I have to just put out a quick video just showing it off, like showing off the room, I mean informally, it's not going to be fully set up yet. No acoustic treatment until next year. The soundproof door is not coming till next year. But maybe I'll show you around what I've done to start with. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this. Please subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Let me know what you think of this guitar. I'm going to do a full review comparison video with the 52 reissue. I think a lot of people out there will be interested in deciding between different Telecasters, and these are two good examples of vintage type ones. And please give this video a thumbs up. See you next time. Cheers.